So this comes out of particularly an awareness of the technological breakthroughs that we've been making for the last 50 to 100 years, and that's accelerating. And innovation is now held up as an unqualified good. And you look at some of these innovations, and particularly when they're being hyped and their downsides are not being reflected on, we are creating increasing capacity to generate disaster. There was an article by Bill Joy, who's one of the creators of Java, one of the gurus of the internet, and he in 2000 wrote an article for Wired magazine about why nature doesn't need us, why the future doesn't need us. And it describes how advances in biotech, nanotech, computing power and robotics will generate, not may, but will generate the capacity for individuals or small groups to create self-replicating entities that can consume or destroy us or the environments we depend upon. And at the point we reach that point, it's really hard to imagine how human extinction will not happen on purpose or by accident. I mean, there's a number of people who would love to remove humanity because they consider it a cancer on the earth. Give them this power, or give, people who are futzing in their garages the power to genetically engineer viruses. It's just like we have extended our power way beyond our normally evolved ways of responding, our responsiveness, our cognitive systems. We are at the microscopic level and the planetary level and the atomic level. We are fiddling around in there and empowering ourselves to do that more simply, more efficiently, more cheaply, and have fewer people involved. So it's like our creativity, our innovation is itself an issue in our survival. And one of the other patterns, nature first, the earth first, having, what is nature telling us? We think we're independent from nature, but we're not. We need to take account of what are the potential downsides of this unbelievable power we've accumulated as a collective civilization. And so appropriate means it fits. Nature is about fit. Evolution is about fit. Ecology is about how things fit together into coherent wholes. Natural selection is about removing things that don't fit. So as I say, to be more of a blessing than a curse, our creativity needs to fit within the natural constraints that, nature tells us where we shouldn't go. And we need to really measure our creativity in light of that and constrain our urge to learn and do. And also within the wisdom embodied in and promoted by these patterns are trying to offer guidelines for creating systems that could, among many other things, monitor our innovative impulses. And if we don't create ways to wisely monitor our collective creativity, our collective power, we will destroy ourselves. It is almost inevitable. It's hard to see, because we will become more and more and more and more and more and more powerful. It's the Sorcerer's Apprentice, or there's a number of archetypal stories that create concern about our technological and creative capacities. So this is, think twice about the trade-offs that we have by our brilliance and power. Examples include the precautionary principle. The precautionary principle says that technology should not be applied in any, broad way or potentially risky way until it is proven benign. It's an extremely conservative principle. It's very different from the progressive principle that we're always developing. Everything is up and up and up all the time, which is our civilizational bias at the moment. And so having this principle is resisted by, ambitious technologists. And it's actually very hard to apply in a broadly collective way. If we adopted the precautionary principle, what about the Chinese? What about Al Qaeda? It's like, how do you have the precautionary principle applied everywhere? But that question should not be seen as a rhetorical question. It'd be seen as, okay, how do we do it? Because it's clearly necessary. Full cost accounting, which is another one of the patterns. It's like, let's not just look at the upsides. We have this brilliant, be able to make these tiny little robots that can go around inside us and kill cancer cells. Okay, so if you can do that, you should be able to create tiny little robots that go around inside us and kill brain cells or heart cells. The right person having this technology would have a very interesting capacities in their hands. So do we want to go there to look at the full cost accounting when it comes to any new technology, if we thought in terms of full cost accounting, we would more often apply the precautionary principle. An existing thing that is very much along these lines, albeit quite mild given the way it's applied, is environmental impact statements. So if we're going to do this new development or create this new technology, what is the environmental impact of that going to be? Unfortunately, it's a corrupted system, but the idea behind it is much in line with this particular pattern.